Hey guys, welcome back to J&M Sports Talk. Mark and Jonathan back to talk about Week 4 college football actions
Yep.
in our new studio.
Yep. It's beautiful, guys. I say check out the video. I sent a quick video, but a little more in detail. But yeah, it's beautiful. Mark, you did an awesome job. I'm excited. Let's get straight into the action. Let's get started.
Okay, so let's start out. Who are big three, right?
All right. Yep.
Who impressed you Week 4?
You gotta start off Friday night. Those Pac-12 late night games. You gotta go with JT Daniels, quarterback USC. You know, I've been talking about he's been struggling as a freshman, trying to get his footing. And, he had a big game against Washington State. He was 17 for 26. He had 241 yards and 3 touchdowns. And it was a big part of USC finally figuring things out offensively and getting a big win against a good Washington State team.
Yeah, good bounce back from the previous week.
Another one, gotta go with Stanford fighting and staying alive in the zoo. Costello was a big part of that. He was 19 for 26, 327 yards and 3 touchdowns. Love also had 89 yards and got a touchdown in there. So combined effort for that offense of Stanford getting a big win in the zoo. What about you, Mark?
So talking about Bryce Love, for me, who impressed me Week 4 had to be Benny Snell, the running back from Kentucky.
Right.
You know, he had all 4 touchdowns against Mississippi State in that big victory, 165 rushing yards. You know, we were talking earlier, he really is one of the Heisman favorites at this point in the season, just from his production.
Definitely a surprise for that one. Be a good pick.
And sticking with the rushing theme, also Army. Army had 339 rushing yards against Oklahoma. They actually, that game was in Norman, and they took them to overtime.
Yeah, that was. I don't think either one of us saw that coming. When we saw that in the box score, like, whoa.
Yeah,
good for Army.
Definitely didn't see that one coming. And then on the flip side, who disappointed? Have to stick with Nebraska on this one. They're 0-3, first time since 1945. Scott Frost, tough sledding starting out there at Nebraska. He'll get it turned around, but thus far, they've been pretty disappointing.
Yeah, it definitely, talk about disappointments. You gotta go with Virginia Tech. First of all, going to Old Dominion for a game is a little bit of a head scratcher, but to lose that game by 2 scores, and the biggest loss was Josh Jackson. They lost him for now. They're not really sure how long he hurt his ankle in the game. Hopefully he'll be back sooner than later, but all around, got to be disappointed if you're a Hokie fan, because that night was not a good night for you.
No, double loss.
Yep. And then keeping the big losses. Well, BC coming back to reality. They finally get ranked, and what do? They start off with a big L ranked. So the Eagles, they got to get back on track. So
yeah, we were talking about that's a big loss for the ACC. That was a non-conference matchup against Purdue. So the ACC teams are really struggling right now. Who is who we thought they were, Jonathan?
The Kentucky Wildcats for me. I told you the Mississippi State, they're a good team, but they're going into a hostile environment up in Lexington. And I was even really impressed how they own both lines of scrimmage. Yeah, there was a lot of jawing on Twitter and stuff, almost a fight pregame. And Kentucky took it to Mississippi State, who we both thought was a really good team. So really impressed. You mentioned Snell was a leader. Wilson, their quarterback, is definitely making some big-time plays for them. Got to be excited for what's going on in Kentucky right now. And maybe we have a legitimate contender in the East besides just Georgia.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. That's a November matchup.
Yep.
All right, for me, I have to go with Wisconsin. Wisconsin, we were high on from day one.
Right.
But they had that tough loss against BYU last week, so they rebounded quite well against Iowa this week. 28-17 victory on the road. It's funny, the winner of the Iowa-Wisconsin game the last 4 years has gone on to play in the Big Ten Championship.
Wow.
So Wisconsin seems to have punched their ticket if history repeats itself.
Yeah.
And then another guy that is who we thought they were, Trevor Lawrence, QB from Clemson. Kelly Bryant got hurt in that game. Trevor Lawrence comes up, gets 4 touchdowns, only had 5 incompletions the entire game. So really impressive there. We think that he might have solidified his spot there at
Oh
QB
yeah,
with Clemson.
yeah, definitely. All you need is those little bit of those injuries. Sometimes will just open that window up for a guy, and he'll just take the position. So, the Clemson offense looks a lot more smoother at him at the helm than Kelly Bryant. I know Kelly Bryant's a great athlete. He does what he does really well, but they're just a different team with Lawrence at quarterback. So it'll be interesting to see how that moves forward as Kelly Bryant hopefully gets healthy soon. He's the only guy sticking through those concussion protocols along.
Right.
So hopefully he gets better soon. All right, so we talked about some of our big threes. Now let's move on to some of the games of the week. Let's start off. What do you think about the Bama Texas A&M game?
Yeah, so it kind of went how we thought it would. First half was relatively close.
Yeah.
But Kellen Mond, I was impressed with him. It seems like Texas A&M, their approach to the game was more the running quarterback type option and trying to catch Alabama by surprise. Kellen Mond had a decent game running the ball. He had almost 100 yards on almost 20 carries and a touchdown. But it just wasn't enough. Alabama, their defense, they were able to contain him later in the second half. And Alabama's offense just continues to roll. So.
Yeah, I think really one of the biggest plays of the game was really when Bama was starting to extend that lead a little bit right before half, and Mon was just trying to make a play and just overthrew his receiver some, and Patrick Surtain made a great interception and made a good return to set them up to add a field goal right before half. I think that really was a big moment in the game where the momentum really shifted right before half, and Alabama just took it and ran with it in the second half.
Right.
So that was Texas A&M at Bama. Let's move on to another game, which we both picked this game and we're wrong. Texas and TCU. What did you think of that game, Mark?
Yeah, so Texas back-to-back wins at home against ranked teams. That's something they haven't done the last few years.
They haven't.
Have to be impressed with Texas and their offense. Their defense isn't really what a typical Texas defense is, but you know what? If their offense is putting up 30 points a game, doesn't really matter that much.
Right.
TCU, I think they took some licks the previous week, and they still were pretty banged up. But yeah, hats off to Texas and winning that game at home.
Yeah, and I think you will see as the year goes. Hopefully, it seems like that defense is getting better, so that's a good sign for Texas. But you got to be impressed with Ellinger. He's one of those reasons why I love watching college football. He's a kid that grew up a big Texas fan. And everything Texas has always been, and it's not been the last few years. And it's great to see a guy that just loves that university being the guy that's stepping up and making a change for the better there. So hopefully he can continue that, and as he's going, this offense is getting better the better he gets. So
that win for Texas snapped a 4-year losing streak against TCU.
Yeah, that's huge. Texas doesn't lose to TCU, so that's a big deal to get that back on track. All right, so that was a good one. Now let's talk about the biggest game of the weekend. Stanford at Oregon, Mark. What were your thoughts on it?
Yeah, so that one early on, Oregon jumped out to a good lead, 24-7 at one point.
Right.
But really one of the pivotal points in that game was really towards the fourth quarter where the Oregon running back, I believe it was, he was heading towards the end zone, hit the pylon with his foot, and they called that was out of bounds. And so the very next play, the center oversnapped the ball over the Oregon quarterback's head. Stanford takes it back the other way to the house for a touchdown. That was a crucial momentum booster in that one.
It was. It would have been 31-7, and instead, one play later, it's 24-14, and Stanford just took that momentum and ran with it at that point. They completely owned the rest of that game. I was really impressed with the defense stepping up in the late in the game and overtime to make the plays needed when they weren't making it early in the game. So it was almost like they were getting let down. The offense wasn't moving the ball, and they were stuck out there. But they made some huge plays. And then again, I mentioned Costello earlier. He had a great fourth quarter in overtime. The game-winning touchdown. He made a great throw. It was 23 yards to, I believe it was Whiteside. But it was just a great throw to get that touchdown and set up. And then again, the defense made 3-4 big stops right there just keep them out of the end zone when Oregon was trying to score in overtime. So yeah, we had a great weekend of football. Mark, it was just one of the better weekends so far of the year. So, with that, we hope you enjoyed our recap and hope you watch our after show and preview for week 5 action. Later, guys.